Good evening, everyone. I decided to drop by and do another video. I'm sorry that the lighting is bouncing off of my glasses. I need my glasses to be able to see what I'm doing. At some point I will figure out how to do videos without things reflecting in my glasses. But for now, it is what it is. You notice I have a beautiful backdrop. It's a latch hook piece that my mother made for my dad many years ago. It's one of the things I inherited from the two of them when they moved on to the next plane of existence. I've been doing some research because I keep seeing all of this stuff about baby boomers and Gen X, and depending on who you ask, when you're just talking about those two generations, I'm just barely at the end of the boomers, or a cusp of boomers and Gen X. However, there is some thought that there's actually a micro generation in between the boomers and Gen X. And that's what I've been looking at and researching. And something occurred to me about that. And that is that one of the determining factors between boomers and Gen Jones, which is the micro generation, might well be that the parents of Gen Jones didn't actually live through or have formative years during the Second World War. My parents were both silent generation. Neither one of them were even old enough to remember rationing during the Second World War. Boomers, if we're going with the three generation split, would have been raised by people who lived through the atrocities and fears and terrors of the Second World War. Gen Jones, on the other hand, were raised by people who would not have remembered those things so viscerally. Because I'm so close to the end of the official Gen X, boomers, I felt much closer to the Gen X people, but not quite with them either. I remember black and white television. I remember watching the first man land on the moon. I remember watching Robert Kennedy's train after he was assassinated. I remember watching Nixon resign on live television. And I was fairly young at the time. And my parents asked me why I was crying. And at the time, I said that he was a good president. And they both vehemently disagreed with that. If I were to go back now, knowing more about myself at the time, I would have said that I was crying because he was so sad. I remember the rise of cable. I remember the rise of MTV. I remember when MTV was music videos. I remember watching many music videos on MTV. Pretty amazing music videos. So maybe there is something to this Jen Jones thing. And maybe there's not. But some people are vehemently against the idea that there may be a micro-generation between Gen X and boomers. And there are other people that strongly support it. The only thing I can really say is that the only people that should be allowed to judge whether it exists or not are the people that were born between 1957-ish to 1965. Do you feel like you're a boomer? Do you feel like you're a Gen X? Do you feel somewhere in between? I personally kind of feel somewhere in between. I've got some of the one and some of the other, and some that doesn't match either one of them. So that's my little rambling for tonight. I hope that all of your future endeavors are joyful and prosperous, and that your life is absolutely wonderful. Have a good whatever it is for you. Bye.